Hi, I'm Kim Phil. I live in Arlington. My son went to Bailey Junior High, and I'm speaking on behalf of the future Bailey Junior High students. I hope you turn down this compressor. Carrizo is proposing to do 5 times less blowdowns than what Chesapeake has turned into TCEQ at their GM plant. They have 2 pad sites over there in Arlington. So I'm just wondering, do we believe everything that Carrizo says? The Rice drill site had 2 emission events last year, May and April, and supposedly there was a battery that was stolen. And anyway, the fire department was chasing a 3-block wide white cloud into the neighborhoods. I don't know the details. It would be nice to find out what those details entail to see if there was anything on Carrizo's part that they could have done better. Was that a lift compressor emission event? Was that a blowdown? Or was that a wellhead release? I took some video at the P&Z meeting of the Carrizo representative's response when I asked about the blowdowns and how they were going to be handled so that raw gases weren't being vented into the atmosphere. And he said that on the plane maintenance, during the shut-in, the gas is sent into the sales line until it's actually bled down to the low-lying pressure that's in that system, down to about 200 pounds, and then and he must be referring to the excess pressure gas, goes to the tanks. Now, we know what happens when there's excess pressure in those tanks. We've seen videos of that. They indirectly vent, and your ordinance states that you're not supposed to be venting, and it's really not being enforced, but it looks like they're here, and we can't do anything about this venting. I don't know if the vapor recovery systems are going to be useful. I've been told that it's only useful if it's 1 barrel per day of condensate, but maybe they haven't been completely truthful to us. We've seen that we didn't know we were going to need lift compressors. So we need to be careful of everything they're saying and check it out. We also want to know about the unplanned blowdown emission events with these lift compressors. Are they still going to be able to route it in that same process, and so that it indirectly vents in those tanks as well? We also talked about, another citizen was concerned about flash emissions. He worked for the city of Dallas. He seemed to know what he was talking about, and his answers seemed to be soothing to him that there wouldn't be any flash emissions. But in comparing the GM site, I noticed that they had a third-party tester that was also looking at the Folsom site at Sublin and 360. They're both Chesapeake sites, and they had a May 2011 third-party report say that the pressurized water sample physically flashed and that it had 11.52 flash factor. So I just want to again reiterate, we want to make sure we follow through on what we want to check their answers out on. What are the emissions now without the lift compressors? Well, I took the GM's VOCs and I backed out the combustible numbers because this lift compressor is electric. And so I backed out particulates. And then I divided their numbers by 22 gas wells because that's what's on the GM pad site. And I took a per well VOC figure and then I multiplied it back to 7 wells because that's what's here on this pad site. And we're estimating that without the lift compressors, we have over a half a pound of VOCs per hour venting into our atmosphere. Now, this never included any of the maintenance, startup, and shutdown of getting the pad site in place, all the drilling, fracking, and flow back, and getting the wells into production. All that has already happened, but if you do add more wells to the site, you do need to consider those emissions. There's also the produced water tanks. GM said that per tank, it's 435 pounds losses per year. That's per tank. Now, they also have a water and oil tank, and it loses about 60 pounds a year. They claimed that there's no hydrogen sulfide, and yet GM had a third-party tester and found 1 parts per million on their 3H well. With an electric drill site, you're going to have a strain on ERCOT. They found out in the February 2011 rolling blackouts that when we needed natural gas the most is when it was least available because wellheads freeze up. We've had compressors go down from lightning strikes. we are adding to the problem. Maybe we should make Carrizo eat their own medicine. They didn't tell us we needed lift compressors. Let's let them go in and spend the extra money that it takes to do their workovers and their nitro lifts. Let them do it the way they've been doing to stimulate those wells. Thank you very much for listening to what I have to say.